we implemented pricing, we doubled our close ratio on websites with that simple change. Because now people knew what bucket they fell into.
In an age where customers are drowning in generic AI noise, how do you become the source of truth that people actually trust? Today, we're joined by Vincent Roberts, the head of growth at US Digital Partners. From grinding door-to-door sales in the Texas heat to driving growth for a 24-year-old digital powerhouse, Vincent has mastered the art of human-centric marketing in a machine-driven world. We're diving into how to rank on ChatGPT, the surprising power of B2B pricing transparency.
I get 30 emails a day that I can tell are written by AI. If you're not talking to the specific problem that you solve for somebody, the way that most companies talk about themselves is they talk about themselves as the hero. But the way to flip that is you're actually the guide. If you're not getting referred, as the solution to the problem, you're non-existent. There's no scrolling to more links or more pages.
With AI, now everything is changing. So especially the behavior of the consumers. What shifts you are observing right now in these areas?
Your client, the customer, is the hero, because if it's about you, nobody cares. Everybody wants to know, how is this going to help me?
What is the kind of toughest challenge, or let's say a bottleneck you have in your current process? Welcome back to The Next Move with Venkat. Hey Vincent, welcome to the show.
Hey Venkat, thanks for having me on.
All right. I'm really excited for today's conversation, and let's start with your journey. So from sales executive to head of the growth, how this entire journey has been.
So just really briefly, I went to college in Texas. My last year of college, I started working for a kind of a startup. They'd been in business for a while. It was a tech software company. I was a tech writer for them. They hired me in that year to work for them. And I realized writing a document over and over, I hated that. And I wanted to probably move towards a sales role where I could actually interact with people every day. The sales team there was really small, so I didn't think there was an opportunity. So I ended up quitting that position, and I did door-to-door sales in South Dallas in the summer, selling solar roofing and solar shingles to people, which was not the funnest job, but it really was a great way for me to cut my teeth and learn a lot about sales. Flash forward, I was looking for a new role and ended up getting hired at Allstate Benefits in the middle market. I think I was the youngest guy on that team. We were a national team selling to brokers in the mid-market across the country. I handled the North Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas markets for that job. Really fantastic experience. I was there almost 3 years. Loved the company, loved the team. But a year and a half ago, the owner of USDP, David Breakout, who's a friend and mentor of mine, who I knew a few years before that, had reached out, and they were looking for a head of growth to take over and kind of drive new business at US Digital Partners. They were looking for me. The COO at the time also knew me in common, and they ended up giving me an offer. And so I made the move. So I've been here for a year and a half in Cincinnati from Texas, and we've been doing a ton of stuff to achieve growth, and we're having a lot of success with that.
Amazing. So in the US Digital Partners, how do you define the growth? Like in terms of the core drivers, what are your core drivers in your business?
Yes, historically, the business was all referral based. We've been around for 24 years. Cincinnati, for those who don't know, is a very agency heavy city. A lot of Fortune 100, Fortune 50 companies are here, like Procter and Gamble, GE, and aerospace companies. There's a ton of really fantastic organizations headquartered here. And because of that, a lot of agencies have popped up to help support them, create, the TV ads you see, online content, all that stuff. So we got started at the beginning of the kind of website era, and we are known in the industry here for the fantastic websites we build. That was kind of our core product and how we got started. But over those 2 decades, we've now become a full service firm. So we have teams that specialize in paid advertising, SEO, content writing, website updates. We have full-time developers on staff. We're all here in office in Cincinnati, Ohio. So when I came on, we didn't really have a regular sales motion. We'd always relied on people knowing about us, hiring us to do website projects, hiring us to do advertising, things like that for them. And so it took a while. I posted about this recently on LinkedIn that it took me a while to figure out one, who to go after, like who our actual ICP was, and how to do that repeatably. Was that going to be cold calling? Was that going to be, email automation? Was that going to be more of a general grassroots networking thing, or the main channel that I use now is LinkedIn? And so it's taken a year and a half to start building the right momentum and figuring out what's going to work. And now we're in a really cool space where we're starting to generate leads from ChatGPT, which we can talk about how we did that, and then myself generating a lot of leads through my LinkedIn content and engaging with people on that platform.
So considering US digital partners, you're offering different types of services for the businesses. So how do you prioritize which services to offer for which clients? So do you have any strategy or any kind of system built in?
That's a great question. When I started, historically, when we'd work with people, we would work with them on a one-off project, or we would try and get what we called a foot in the door project, like a small messaging project or doing advertising for them, and then show them how great we were to work with, and then expand the types of work we were doing for them into content writing, the website, whatever that might be, a video project. Now our go-to-market strategy is really, we are a fractional marketing team of 25 experts that can come into your business and be that extension of your team for about the cost of hiring one full-time marketing person. And we don't have any long-term contracts. So we can execute across all the marketing things that you need to be doing. And we help companies figure out what that strategy might be. Like they need to grow, they need more leads. Well, your website's not good, your content doesn't resonate. You need to maybe do some advertising. You need some new assets like a video or photos. And we can do all those things, and we can do them over time and be that partner month in and month out to help them grow. So that's kind of our new strategy, and that's been really resonating and working for a lot of clients.
Got it. So is there any particular thing it is like the underrated for you, which clients didn't really understand it properly?
That is a good question. I'd say, I mentioned how in the Cincinnati area, people knew us for our website work. We've done a lot of big website projects for brands you probably know, like Gorilla Glue, Kroger, grocery stores across the US, Roto-Rooter, NASA, really big organizations, government institutions, things like that. But trying to get the brand out of Cincinnati, a lot of people don't know how fantastic we are on that front, how we're on the cutting edge of website development and design. And so that's been interesting, kind of being an evangelist for that side of the business. But really, the way that people work with us is having us be that partner where we're an extension of their team. Those projects are like one-offs, and we do them, when they're needed. But rather than having them come in the door through that, which is great, now we can go find those clients that need a partner that can start executing today, and that's a better channel for growth for us.
With AI, now everything is changing. So especially the behavior of the consumers and the increased competition for the attention. So what shifts you are observing right now in this area, especially the mid-market businesses?
It's harder and we talked about this a little bit before the call, that more businesses are being inundated with generic messages, and that's being harder. It's making it harder to differentiate yourself when you're engaging with somebody for the first time. That's the problem of anybody in a growth or sales role, is how do you get net new people in the door that aren't warm referrals? And most people are becoming, in my experience and in my opinion, becoming tired of getting generic AI emails. Like I said, I get 30 emails a day that I can tell are written by AI. So the best way to differentiate there is, how can you stand out in your copy? So content is incredibly, incredibly important. If you're not talking to the specific problem that you solve for somebody, you're going to have a hard time resonating, because it's just noise. So how do you cut through the noise? The best channel, as I've mentioned, is for me and for sales, I think, and marketing, is LinkedIn. Because LinkedIn is one of the few places where, one, they can verify that you're a real person. They have, you can put your government ID in there, and it can say, yep, this is who this is a real person. But I can show photos of myself in a professional manner. I can have people engage with my content that resonates with my ICP and my target audience. And I can engage people on a one-to-one basis through, a DM, messaging them. That actually opens the door to a real conversation and builds trust. And that's what I've seen working and helping our business grow. But the second half of that, and what we haven't talked about yet, is having really good content on your website. So it's not just about sending people good content. It's when, if the message that you send or that you post about resonates with somebody and they look you up, and your website is going to be even more important than it's ever been, especially with AI. Like, AI is looking for an endpoint, so to speak, a source of truth about you and your company, and your website's where it's going to find that. So if you don't have good content on the website that answers the questions that people are looking for, you're going to really struggle. You're going to not show up when ChatGPT or Google is looking for you. And this is kind of the history of SEO. It's changing now with AI, where people are doing more long form specific searches. But if you have the content built out on your website that's specific and tailored to your target audience, that answers their questions transparently like a human, you're going to start getting more leads. And that's how we started ranking higher and getting more leads through ChatGPT.
Yeah, makes sense. I completely agree with you in this point, obviously. And yeah, I've gone through your website and it looks really so much clean, clear, and straight to
Thank
the
you.
point. So it is really amazing on what you're saying. Yeah. One thing I wanted to discuss with you again. So I just gone through one of your recent posts. I think it was on your blog or LinkedIn. So you mentioned something about the B2B pricing transparency matters more than ever in the age of AI. So can you share the core message of that piece?
Yeah. So it's kind of what I've been saying about, or what I was saying rather, about content on your website. Every single buyer in the world has a couple questions in their head when they're trying to make a buying decision. Most people already have decided that they're going to buy something when they start looking for something. You're not trying to convince them to buy the product for the first time. What you're trying to do is convince them to buy your product or your service. And they're only going to do that if they, one, think that you're the best and that they can trust you, that you're reliable. And the way most people do that, well, and also if you're affordable. So people are looking for, what's this going to cost me? Is this too high of an investment? Where does this fall in my budget from a business perspective? What's the time investment? Is this going to take a lot of my time, the company's time? Are you the best at what you do? So they're looking for reviews. They're looking for credibility in the space. So that's, third-party reviews. That's the content you post on LinkedIn, on your social platforms. And then having all those other answers of like, okay, well, if I do sign up with you, what happens next? What does failure look like? Who aren't good fits for you? And that looks like, tons and tons of FAQ style question and article answers that they can just dive into and get all that information before ever talking to you, if at all. Because now some people just want to buy through your website. Like if you sell a product that's reasonably cost, there's no reason that they should talk to a salesperson first. They should be able to buy it on the internet and have it shipped to them directly. They don't have to talk to you. They don't have to talk to the salesperson. They can talk to somebody if they really have questions or more technical. But even some services, they could potentially buy directly through your website without talking to a salesperson. The only time a salesperson should be talked to is once they have a ton of information. And what's called assignment selling is sending a lot of content to the client can also help you in building that rapport and trust before ever showing them or asking them or showing them a proposal for your services or product. That's our philosophy, and that's how we've been kind of leaning in the last year. And that's had fantastic return. I mentioned in another conversation I had on a different podcast, that alone, that change where we implemented pricing. And when somebody came to us for, say, a website and we sent them, hey, here's a pricing guide, take a look at this, tell us your budget. We have, 3 tiers of pricing that people fall into. We doubled our close ratio on websites with that simple change, because now people knew what bucket they fell into. They've told us, hey, here's our budget. Great. Well, that's the project. That's what it's going to be. This is what you're going to get for that size versus custom pricing per project. It was very specific, and it's helped close that loop a lot faster for clients and buyers.
Sounds really amazing. Yeah. And kind of a wonderful strategy. So just in continuation with that aspect. So do you have any kind of specific client stories in your business which really kind of, impacted you and kind of you felt kind of satisfied by implementing all these type of strategies in your business?
Yeah. One of my favorite client examples that I go back to, I posted this on LinkedIn, is a client that we met right during COVID. So this is before my time, but when we met them, they're a manufacturer out of Germany. They make a very specific machine that is called a briquetting machine. It basically takes the scrap from a CNC machine, all the metal shavings, when you cut out a part, it takes those and compresses them into little metal pucks, which you can recycle in your manufacturing process or sell for a lot higher value. But also part of that process, there's hydraulic fluid used in a CNC machine. It can extract that, clean it, filter it, so you can reuse it. So you're saving on time and materials in that way as well. They sold almost exclusively through trade shows. They would travel all over the world, across the US, selling at trade shows, showing people how the product worked. It resonates with that audience. If you have a CNC shop, usually you're just shoveling that crap into bins and selling it for pennies on the dollar, where this can get you a much higher return to the product. Well, when COVID happened, all those trade shows closed. So they had no more inbound leads through that channel. So we got introduced. We did a ton of work for them. Namely, we gave them a new website that actually talked to that problem that they were solving specifically, showed really great images and video of the product and it's working and showing how it works. And we started running very targeted search ads for that audience. And for them, we increased their website traffic over 300%. We generated new leads from ads at like 138%. It was incredible success. We're still working with them all the time. I think for them, that's a common story. But if you're doing the right things and you're implementing these changes I've been talking about, you're going to have a lot more success as a business.
Yeah, true. And obviously, it sounds like a big win for you.
Yeah, no, they're a great story because it's a clear, here's what we did, here's what we got.
Now, let's discuss about the challenges. Of course, having a business and especially in the marketing and sales, it is not an easy job. So I have two questions now. One is for your business and another one is for your clients. So what is the kind of toughest challenge or let's say a bottleneck you have in your current process and as well as for your clients?
A bottleneck we have for ourselves and for our clients, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, since we've basically taken away all the friction for the sales process, I would say before, like customizing quotes and doing all this, that would have been the bottleneck before. But now that we have very transparent pricing and a established sales motion, there's not that many bottlenecks for us in converting leads and finding people to work with. But there's always things to improve. Like one of the things we're looking at right now is how do you capture what's called the middle funnel? The funnel, everybody defines that differently. But what I'm talking about is if somebody finds you on the internet, they come to your website, besides all the content we've been talking about, is there a way to capture them right then? When they hit your website, is there a way to engage with that person in the moment rather than, excuse me, waiting for them to fill out a form or contact you or do something else in your sales motion? So we're looking at ways maybe to do that. And there's some AI tools and automation that could help solve that problem, that now that we have more data on people and ways to see who's on our site in real time, that bottleneck, it's not really a bottleneck, but that's an area we're trying to improve for our clients.
So are you suggesting your clients to go with a more kind of AI automation, or as you mentioned, like you're more a kind of leaning towards to the grassroots marketing?
Well, for us, we don't do any like outbound help with our clients. Our clients that we work with usually have an established sales team. Like one of our clients, Kaivac, for example, they have a fantastic sales team. They make like almost like autonomous, but they're all-in-one cleaning machines for stadiums, for businesses, where you can clean the bathroom without getting dirty, essentially. Fantastic product. They're killing it. We help them basically take care of everything else tertiary to the salespeople doing their job. So we help them qualify candidates better. We built a custom tool on their website so people can select the right product for their situation. We've helped them, enrich contacts that are coming from the website so that the salespeople can call those people. And we're doing everything else tertiary to them, doing the automation or emailing those people or any of the sales motion on the front end, the outbound stuff. We do all the stuff on the back end that helps the sales teams get the leads and qualify those leads as fast as possible.
Good. Yeah. Now let's talk about the future. Future is obviously kind of exciting and amazing thing. So yeah, so you started kind of very recently and you already brought up so much of value into the US digital partners. So what is
It's
your
a team
future
effort.
goal? Obviously, but yeah, let's say as a growth partner. So what is your goal for head of the growth, especially? So what is your goal for next 12 to 24 months?
We're entirely trying to focus on growth. So I would like to hit 25-30% growth next year in revenue, which should be a lot of new clients coming on board. I think we're laying the groundwork to do that. Everything I've talked about is part of this broader philosophy of being the experts in our space and being as easy to work with as possible. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. More and more businesses are going to need our services, especially as the way businesses and individuals find products and services. Like you look at Google today. If you use Google as your main browser, when you search for something, there's an AI summary at the top. That's called a zero-click result. Historically, people would have to click on something, an ad or naturally ranked SEO website in order to find about you. Now they can get a summary, and if you're not showing up there, you're in trouble. So how do you show up there? Same thing with, ChatGPT. ChatGPT, you're looking up for something specific. If you're not getting referred, as the solution to the problem that the person has, you're non-existent. There's no scrolling to more links or more pages. You can ask it for more suggestions, but most people aren't going to do that. So to your point, things are really changing for us. That's where we're focused on trying to grow, is being the experts in that space so people find us naturally.
My next question is going to kind of follow up to that, what you said about the result appearing on ChatGPT or the AI overviews. So if you could share one or two suggestions for the people out there, what it could be just to optimize their content to appear on these LLMs or the AI overviews.
Yeah, we use a philosophy for content called story brand. And the idea behind story brand is all stories that resonate with humans are hero journey type stories. So you have a hero and a guide, and the hero is the main character. They're trying to solve a quest. They're trying to get to this end point. And along the way, they meet a person who has a little more knowledge and skill that can help get them to where they need to go. Think, Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi, Frodo and Gandalf, Harry Potter and Dumbledore. These are hero guide type frameworks for stories. The guide doesn't get them all the way there, but they help them along the path. The way that most companies talk about themselves is they talk about themselves as the hero. We're so awesome. We do these things so great. You've seen this. Everybody talks about themselves like they're the best. They're the hero. But the way to flip that is you're actually the guide. You're the guide. Your client, the customer, is the hero. They have a quest that they're trying to solve. They're trying to solve something. And how does your product, service, thing you do, how does it solve that problem? How can you guide them to the solution that they're looking for? So anytime you're writing content, that's what you got to keep in mind. Who's reading this? How are they the hero? And what are you trying to help them with through this content? Because if it's about you, nobody cares. Everybody wants to know, how is this going to help me? How can I see myself in the story of that person or that thing being solved? How does this resonate for me? Like Roof, there's businesses out there that have those same problems. They're trying to, they're manufacturers, they're trying to solve the problem of we're not getting enough leads through trade shows anymore, and our sales reps, what else are we doing? We've never prioritized our website. Does digital marketing even work? That's a story that I can tell people and say, this clicks with you because you're in the same boat that Roof was, and now you have a path forward. So that's the way we think about content. That's the way I try and post on LinkedIn. I'm pretty humorful in my LinkedIn posting. I try and relate it to problems that people are experiencing. Humor is one of the best ways to do that, I think. But that's our philosophy.
Yeah, really amazing. So, Vincent, so before we wrap up, obviously you have shared so much of insightful information, and especially the transparency with the pricing. And just before you said the philosophy, it has been really kind of amazing conversation.
Yes, it's been fun.
Yeah, and thank you for joining the show. And yeah, before we leave the episode, if anyone wants to find you out, where they can check out for you online.
Yeah, usdigitalpartners.com. You can also check me out on LinkedIn, Vincent Roberts, head of growth on LinkedIn for USDP. But yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, the best way to find us is usdigitalpartners.com. The best way to find me is on LinkedIn, Vincent Roberts. You can find my LinkedIn profile, DM me. It's the best way to get a hold of me. But yeah, this has been great, Venkat. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Vincent, and thank you for joining the show. And it is really a pleasure having you. And yeah, of course. So I'll add all the references in the description if you are watching it on YouTube, and go and check it out. Vincent work. It is really amazing. And see you on the next episode. Thank you, Vincent.